Hi, this is Simon from writtenlegalenglish.com and welcome to another video where we're going to be looking at a difficult legal text and we're going to be redrafting it into plain English. And in this particular redraft we will be focusing on the legal adverbs therefore and thereof. So let's get to work. So this is the text that we will be working with. Whoever invents or discovers any new and useful process, machine, manufacture or composition of matter, or any new and useful improvement thereof, may obtain a patent therefor, subject to the conditions and requirements of this title. Now, even before you notice the legal adverbs, one thing you see is that this is one long sentence with lots of information in it. So we've got to read this a couple of times to work out exactly what the message is or messages are. You can't just read this once and think, okay, I know what's going on. You've got to spend some time with it. And of course, if we're writing to anyone, one thing that we don't want them to do is spend and invest their time trying to work out what it is that we're trying to say to them. So in our redrafting process, we will be trying to understand what the main messages are. Okay, if we look at the legal adverbs, we've got thereof and therefore. So what do they mean? Well, thereof means related to the things just mentioned or of the things that were just mentioned. So if we have a look at that text, it says, or any new and useful improvement thereof, which is really saying any new and useful improvement of the useful process, machine, manufacture or composition of matter. Therefore means for the things just mentioned. So for those four things that I've just talked about. Now, the other thing about therefore is that lots of people see this and they think it's a typo. They think it's a mistake, that there should be an E at the end of this. And that's the problem with this word. It isn't a typo. This is the legal adverb. And more than that, sometimes this legal adverb is spelt without an E, and sometimes it's spelt with an E. So whenever you meet therefore in a legal text, you've really got to think hard about what that word is trying to say. Is it trying to mean for the things that were mentioned, or are we using it, or is the author using it as a concluding linker of some kind? So it's plenty of problems come with the use of this word. Okay, what I'd like you to do now is pause the video, spend 5 minutes thinking about the messages in this text, and how would you redraft it if you were trying to redraft the legal adverbs out of the text, because of course no plain legal English redraft should ever have legal adverbs like this. And also try to identify the messages, and once you identify the messages, think about how best can you present those messages. So pause the video now, as I just said, and spend 5 minutes and think about how you can do that. Okie dokie. Assuming you've spent 5 minutes working hard redrafting this, you might have got an answer similar to mine. Now, of course, this is my interpretation. I'm not saying that this is correct. This is just how I interpret the text. And what I did was I broke it down in this way. I tried to make it a lot simpler. Well, I'll go through the changes in a bit more detail in a second. But as you can see, I've used tabulation to break down or to separate the information out to make it a lot easier to see. And I've simplified the message as well. So I said, if you invent or discover, and then there are two things that you might invent or discover. You might invent or discover a new process, machine, manufacture, composition, or matter. Or you might invent and discover a useful improvement of one of those four things. That's how I understood this. And if you invented or discovered one of those things, and this is the second part, you can obtain a patent for that subject to the conditions and requirements of this title. But we can even improve, or at least I think we can communicate that same message in a simpler way. So we could say, for example, instead of you can obtain a patent, you can say you can patent that. If we wanted to keep patent as a noun, we might use a simpler verb. So we could say you can get a patent for that. So that's something to think about. So you can patent that, And then you've got that bit, subject to the conditions and requirements of this title. What is that really trying to say? I think that's trying to say, if you meet the criteria in this law, that's how I understand this, or if you meet the criteria in this regulation. I'm pretty sure you can say the same thing in a number of different ways, and of course the context is important. Are we talking about a law? Are we talking about regulations? Are we talking about something else? So the wider context will help you get that message a little bit more precise and a little bit more applicable in some cases. But in terms of a redraft with no supporting context whatsoever, this is how I would redraft it. How did you guys get on? If you want to, please leave your answers in the comments below this video, and I'll happily look at them and get back to you with my comments and suggestions. So I want to go into the changes that I made in a bit more detail. First of all, I've done other videos on this. I've used you. And this is a fantastic device to use because you are communicating directly to the person who is reading the law. You're not referring to them as a third person or an agent or anything like that. You are talking to you, the person who's reading this. So if I read this, if you invent, I know it's talking to me. If I invent a new process or machine or whatever it might be. I've tabulated, as you can see, I've broken it down into a table, and it makes it a lot easier to see those messages as regards what is patentable. I've, of course, removed the legalese adverbs, the legal adverbs. I've got rid of them. We don't need them. We can say the same message in a clearer, more precise way without those. And of course, we've got a simpler message at the end. You can patent that if you meet the criteria in this law. Really simple, everyone understands what's going on, and we don't need to overcomplicate that message. Why would you? You want the patent application to be submitted in a way that meets the criteria which is in the law. I mean, there's no, why would you unnecessarily complicate that message? You keep it as simple as you can. Okie dokie. Let me know what you think of my redraft in the comments below, and be sure to check out the rest of my videos on my channel. If you like what you see, subscribe to my channel so you can see all the new content that I will be producing in the near future. Okay, I'll see you soon.